Welcome back. Congress. Now, if you just heard crickets, my friends in D.C., chirping behind us for good reason, Congress returns for its first week of work in 2014 this week, having passed the fewest bills ever in 2013 and with an approval rating at or close to high single digits. And there's reason to think, believe it or not, it can actually get worse. 2014 will not be any better. The first vote in the Senate on unemployment extensions looks to be dead in the House here. The first vote in the House is to repeal another portion of Obamacare. That's right, they're still at it again. House Republicans setting a very light agenda for 2014, trying to avoid the same kind of self-inflicted wounds that gave themselves a very difficult year last year. But despite all that, there are still people anxious to get themselves to our nation's capital, and so we've got some local races we've already identified that we deem worth watching. First up, let's start in New Jersey and in the 3rd District in the south central portion of the state. You have an incumbent Republican, and for you football fans, John Runyon, former tackle for the Eagles. He is retiring, and he was there for all of 2 years, and he said enough. And it's also a swing district, one that President Obama has won twice. Now we get word that Steve Lonigan, that's right, that guy who was blown out by Cory Booker in the state Senate race last year, he's moving to the district to run for the seat. This is not bad news for Democrats. Lonigan, a Tea Partier's delight, once said being white was a handicap in seeking elected office. He called Social Security a Ponzi scheme, and his Senate campaign tweeted out a map of Newark with, let's just say, racially insensitive descriptions, calling portions of Africa, basically, in Essex County. Okay, that said, this is going to play out a lot of places, Jeannie, where you got the Tea Party element, and then you got, if there's a Republican who's got a better chance here, a primary headache on their hands. We even have it in our neck of the woods, it seems.
Yeah, absolutely. And Lonigan, I mean, bless his heart, he keeps running and he keeps losing. I mean, he has won. We should say he has won. He was mayor. But, you know, I mean, it's a swing district. Sure, he could possibly win. He was saying today he's got funding, national funding that he's going to be using. But, you know.
He's the best. He's a terrific guy. He's the best candidate.
Here we go.
The Republicans have a gem in that guy. Democrats are scared of him. I think he ought to be the candidate.
If he does run, he's going to point out that he did better than expected against Cory Booker, only lost by 11 points, which was a lot better than what many people thought.
But unlike horseshoes and hand grenades, second place doesn't get you anything in politics,
yeah,
right?
This is true. So,
right, let's go to New York here in the 1st District, the easternmost section of Long Island, out in Suffolk County. Democrat Tim Bishop, as he had in recent elections, eked out a razor-thin re-election. That was 4 years ago, and the GOP has targeted that seat ever since here. And once again this year, they think that this is a winnable seat. Richard, you look at registration there, it's really toss-up. They're going to be spending money on it for him. But it's interesting. Does the president help him or not? And does he get behind health care or not? It's kind of a debate for Democrats.
January is not the time to make that decision.
When do you?
You make that decision as late as you can based upon the data that you have. In terms of politics, both parties are locked into their positions pretty much. And if Obamacare tracks what happened with Romney Care in Massachusetts, it'll sort of catch on by the middle of the year. The tracks are sort of parallel in terms of how they started out.
That's a tough political calculation. If you're running for re-election in a tough seat, can you wait till June to figure out if that's part of your platform?
You guess wrong in January, and you're completely dead. The data is easily gettable. But as I said, I don't think it's going to matter a lot. Bishop can't run away from Obamacare, and the Republican can't run towards it. So the lines are fairly well drawn. It'll be close, but these Republicans, you know, one false move and I pull the trigger. There's a lot of that going around.
And you notice the Democrats in Washington want to talk about anything but Obamacare. Absolutely. They want to talk about unemployment. They want to talk about gun control. They want to talk about immigration.
And I think we'll get into this later on in the show.
It is absolutely true.
But they want to sell people on Obamacare, make them like it more so that they can run on it.
They don't want to talk about it until they know if the numbers are up to where they think they can win on them.
Only way to raise the numbers is to sell it.
Dom, we're going to the 11th next, and that is the last Republican-leaning seat in the city. Republican Michael Grimm, he's trying to hang on here for dear life, but he's got an FBI fundraising investigation underway, and he's got other issues facing headaches And even hear another name, a blast from the past, that some people are talking about. Vito Fossella was really popular before, well, we found out he had a whole separate family down in Virginia. Well, first of all, do you think Vito gets into this? And how much trouble is Grimm in?
I don't think Fossella gets in this race at the end of the day. There's been lots of talk that he might do so. He might prove to be a formidable candidate again, given all of his baggage, should he decide to run. As far as Grimm, we've been hearing for a while that he's in trouble, the FBI investigation, and so on and so on. But he's hanging in so far. We'll see what happens.
Fasella may be positioning himself in case Grimm can't run. In case the FBI closes in, he wants to be the next guy online.
Who's the Democrat?
It was Mike McMahon who won the seat 4 years ago, and he lost then to Grimm. I don't know. I don't know if he's going to run again. There's not apparently a very deep bench of Democrats at that.
Well, we know the two names, Andrew, in the 18th because they've held the office here in consecutive sessions here. Northern Westchester and Rockland in the Lower Hudson Valley, and what might be the truest toss-up district in our area. And trust me, a lot of money nationally is going to be spent on this one. Incumbent Democrat Sean Patrick Maloney. He will likely be challenged by the woman that he beat in 2012, Republican Nan Hayworth in the district. It's changed parties, as I said, twice in the last 2 elections, 3 times in the last 4. They talked a lot about health care 2 years ago. She's moved away from the Tea Party here. She's a frequent guest of this program, as is Congressman Maloney. It's going to be interesting how she defines herself this time around.
I think she's going to try to not reach out quite so far to the Tea Party this go around and try to be more of a moderate, more of a centrist, if she at all can. This is a district where Maloney should be able to win this seat and win re-election. The trends have been going that way with the registration. The way that the district has been redefined after the 2010 census should favor him as well. And keep in mind that
he's been critical of health care.
No, yeah, he has been.
Well,
In the same way that Tim Bishop also has been able to get out of tough votes.
He's has some weakness in his base that he can fix, but some of the votes he's taken on some of the key Obama-related issues have caused some fuss, especially because his Democratic predecessor, John Hall, was a reliably progressive Democrat. So it's going to be interesting and close and too close to call at this point.
And a lot of that is going to depend on turnout amongst the Democrats. I mean, he was helped a lot by having Obama at the top of the ticket. She was helped a lot in her race by, having a midterm when, usually the party in the White House is the party in the outs. So, she could have that again.
It's funny. You go one district up to the 19th, which is another interesting race here. And you got Gibson. Again, this is a toss-up seat here. This used to be Mo Hinch's old seat before they redistricted the state. But against Sean Eldridge. And Sean Eldridge, he himself also openly gay. And just like Sean Patrick Maloney is, it's fascinating. I think it's a compliment to all of us. Nobody even talks about that as the big issue anymore, and it would have been not too many years ago.
I think that seat's going to be less about the individual personalities who are involved and more about the way the district is trending. The district has been moving
more. And also,
more,
if he gets labeled carpet bag.
Well, yeah, but the district has been getting a little bit bluer over the last few years, but is it enough to offset the sort of very red, traditional upstate New York areas?
The carpetbagger issue is the thing that is going to make him or break him. If he gets tagged with moving in as a rich kid to buy a seat in that area, some places that doesn't matter. Urban areas it matters less, but up there it might matter.
The one thing is I've noticed he's gotten a lot of national press because of his relationship and who he is. So he has gotten a lot more national press than anybody else would coming into that seat and
How
running.
that plays locally, that's going to be
really
interesting.
I'm not sure that would play locally, but it is interesting. You look at any of the blogs, and he is talked about an awful lot more than another newcomer to politics.
He certainly shouldn't be wanting for money.
No.
That much we know. Okay. When we come back here, we talk a lot about health care, but as it relates to the birth control portion of this and what should be mandated on providers now, we're going to have that conversation straight ahead.